At Red Barn, our pet food ingredients work overtime. They aren't just there for show. Dandelion greens work to maintain a healthy digestive system. Salmon oil works to enhance the immune system. Green-lipped mussels work to support joint health. These hard-working ingredients support your dog's active, healthy life. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Visit redbarninc.com/coupon to save $1 off your first can.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to the Golden Truth Raw and Real. This is Linda Summers.
Hello, hello. This is Sharon. Welcome to the show.
We're glad to have you guys here. We would love for you to call in and ask us some questions, and you can do that by dialing 347-850-8423. For those of you that are out of the country, 001-347-850-8423. And today's topic is love consciousness. So we're going to be talking about love and really what love consciousness is, how to stay elevated, give you some tips. And so I'm really excited about this because this really kind of all came about last weekend.
Yes, it did, because I even said to Linda that I always like talking about things that I've experienced because it's the greatest teacher, and my main topic all the time is about love. I always like coming back to love. You know, we can always talk about the serious stuff now and then, but, you know, coming back into a space of love is what creates the magic for us. Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, the whole thing, I mean, I think everything, when we vibrate at the sense of love, that we're such in this high vibration that magic and miracles can happen, you know, and we talk about love as being in love, but it's just like really loving life, like watching the sunset and having that connection and feeling, you know, having that vibration raise and really being in that space of what it feels like to be in love.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Linda, what was shown to me last night, it's almost like when you're doing a summarization about being in love. And so it's categorized in three separate ways. So it's like being in love with yourself, and then when you're in love with someone else, and then you're in love with everyone else. And when you're in that element of all of the above, it's just absolutely wonderful. But there are steps that we have to take in order to get into that space of feeling that way. That's what's important. And, you know, one of the key things, of course, is letting go of the past, letting go of belief systems, and, you know, focusing on the present. Because what I realize that I've noticed, you know, throughout, which I've always been this way, is when we're in love, whenever we are in love with ourselves and we're in the aspect of love, things start to work. Things start to manifest. It comes into reality, into creation, however you want to word it. And whenever we are facing the obstacles, the problems, the issues, then what happens is they start to shut down. And when we shut down, everything else starts to shut down, and the chaos begins. And so, you know, of course, one can say, well, how can I do that if I'm facing all these things all the time? It's so easy to say that. But it is as easy as it can be and not at the same time. It's a great balancing act. But all I know is that it really works. And it's not about what you're doing, it's beingness, being, how you're being in that state. Yes, absolutely.
Well, and, you know, from my experience that happened on Saturday night, you know, it just, I really want to just say that and I had that experience. I've had it before, but since this is just so fresh and new, it's like I want to bring that into this call about being in such a state of joy and happiness. And at that frequency, so many magical things happened that night, you know, and it was just, you realize that, wow, when you're in and you're staying in that frequency, I didn't even really know I was in that frequency, you know, in a sense of that consciously, I was just feeling it. Yes. I was just being, because I was in my happy place, of what I just describe as my happy place, doing what I love. And so, and in being in that space of doing what I love, that it was like all these things were coming together, you know, and I want to say it's the love of my life.
It's an ecstasy is what I call it, an ecstasy. That's right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I also term it as, as we keep ourselves alive, as staying erected, because if you're not erected, then you go limp. And so, hey, this is how we keep ourselves elevated and erected and staying alive, keeping ourselves alive. And when we are in this element of being in love and making love, it's like everything just starts to work, and you're not even thinking about it. Just like what you said, you're not even thinking about it. It just happens automatically through you. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then it can become like a domino effect between you and another person, and as far as how you're keeping yourselves elevated with it, without even thinking about it. And you also look and feel younger. It's like they say, when you're in love, you don't eat, you don't sleep, you're living off of love. Have you heard of that statement before? How are you? I'm living off of love. Yeah. And that's the true nature to who we are, because we are sexual, energetic beings, and that is how we are. We're in an element of being in love, staying in love, and being creative in that energy, and that's what keeps us alive, and that's what brings all the magic, as I stated. Mm-hmm.
Well, and something that I want to go back to what you had said earlier, too, about letting go of the past. And so, because we bring so much of, this happened and that happened to me and all of that, and we know that we're constantly manifesting, whether it's at a low vibration, whether it's a middle or high vibration, it doesn't matter. So when you are in that place of the past, that you're at that frequency, so that's a very low frequency. And so it's to bring yourself out of that frequency, and by letting go of the past, because the past is the past, the present is right now, and focusing on now, because if you let that past rule, then it's like it debilitates you, and you can't move forward. So I think if people can, have the understanding that when we raise our consciousness, when we go to that vibration of joy and love, right, then we can create those magic and miracles. So I think to talk about love consciousness, we really have been talking about what love consciousness means, being very conscious of love.
Yeah, and a part of being conscious about love is even understanding what it really means. It's not just, like I said, there's so many different aspects of being in love. So first we start off with the self-love. That's the first basic start off, is self-love. Because if you don't love yourself enough, or you really are, holding on to things that don't serve you, and that includes letting go of the past, letting go of the belief system. If, say, for instance, you're basing things that you're experiencing in the past and not looking at what's in front of you right now, you're holding on to something that doesn't serve you, and then you're going to keep missing the gifts, of what's being presented to you with love. And so when these things don't serve you, you're going to stay stuck. You stay stuck, and then most people, they end up just continuing on a spiral of feeling miserable and unhappy. And they're not paying attention to these experiences that they're having. Now, another aspect of it is purging out the things that don't serve you and being able to move forward as well. And so each time that you let go of something, and let go of something that doesn't serve you, I should say, say, for instance, you were in a relationship that someone was verbally abusive or something, and then someone else comes along and they might say something that triggers you from that past relationship, and therefore you're basing that person that's with you now that they're the same as the one before, when that might not necessarily be it, because you're holding on to something. And some people think that they're triggered even from things in this lifetime, but there's things you're holding on to from other lifetimes. So it's a lot of purging, but each time you purge and let go of something and look at it for what it is and not run away from it and face it, then you're able to go up another level within yourself, within your consciousness. It's like you start to feel lighter within yourself. You start to feel lighter. But this is based on a combination of things, as I stated.
And I think, too, that being aware, like if you can have the understanding as well, not you, but I think that people can have the understanding as well as that all these situations, all these people, all these experiences are being brought to us for the growth, for the evolution of remembering who we are.
Exactly.
It's like these people really signed up to say, here, let me help Linda learn this lesson or, heal this wound within myself. So even though we go through these experiences, and we look at these experiences, horrific experiences, it's a really good opportunity, maybe not in the moment to see that, but it's a really good opportunity to say, wow, what is this teaching me? What can I learn from this experience, So, again, that beginning with self-love. Because like you said, we have to love ourselves before we can love life or another person. So it's always going to begin with ourselves.
And self-love is also an aspect of how you're treating yourself, being able to look at yourself in the mirror, also accepting yourself with, for who you are, acknowledging yourself, honoring yourself, pampering yourself. All of this is a part of self-love. Loving yourself no matter how you look, no matter how you feel, no matter what anybody says, that's a part and an aspect of self-love. And not allowing anybody to do anything they feel like it with you. And so when you have a part of that within you where you have that aspect of self-love, that you could even look at yourself in the mirror, you can face yourself, you can face others, and you're in an element of joy and balancing out all the aspects of it. That means that you're also loving yourself for your flaws and also the greatness of yourself, both aspects of yourself with no judging or criticizing and all that. You see, that's a part of self-love.
Yeah, and also self-love, loving that inner child. There's this inner child that resides within us that is like the spirit that moves us. So it's really honoring that child as well. There's trust involved, trusting your own intuition. And I think, what's really coming to me is really about the message of love and that vibration, because we talk about when we are in that state, and I don't think we're really conscious of it until we become aware that we're in that state and how we are able to manifest. And you had mentioned about this in the very first show that we had about making love to the world. Yes. And how different the world would be if we sought out to love one another, whether they're homeless, doesn't matter, anything, and not looking at the situation of this person, but truly looking at this person, right? So I just feel like when we can really, the world would be such a different place if we could keep in that frequency of that love and realize that when we have been there, if we can look back on our life and see the times when we have manifested things that have been because we were in such joy and such happiness that miracles and things started happening and manifestations were like, oh my gosh, I'm just so lucky. No, it's not about luck. It's about you vibrating at that frequency because we're energetic beings, so we're vibrating always at a certain frequency. And that's how we are also going to attract, because we also talk about attracting your mate, which is what I said this weekend, that, attracting someone who was watching me the whole night, not knowing that, right? Because I was such in a state of joy and happiness and that love vibration because I was doing something that was a love for me. You know what I mean? Like loving what I do, and just being with people and having so much fun. So I just think it's really, really important, And it brings me back to, and I'll let you say something really quick because I know you want to say something as well. But we mentioned this, and you talked about this Neale Donald Walsh quote, when you are vibrating high, this is when you connect with your beloved. Yes. This is an amazing quote. This is when you connect with your beloved, yes. Well, no. When you are vibrating high, watch things fall into place all because of you. And what's interesting, when I put that, it was because that's what I feel happened to me. So it's interesting that I even said that, because what he was saying is when you are vibrating high, this is when you connect, fall in love. What is the quote? Is it fall in? No, it's fall in love. Oh my gosh, it's fall in love, for the love is that path. Then watch things fall into place, all because of you. I apologize, listeners. I was so ecstatic when I wrote this because I was so high in my own vibration that I wrote that you will connect with your beloved because it was because that's what I felt that happened to me. But his quote was, fall in love, for love is that path. Then watch things fall into place, all because of you. Yes. And that's what we're really saying here.
Well, I have to still say this, that, some people might say, well, it's so easy to say to fall in love, but I can't do that because I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with that. That's the thing, is that in order for you to enter into that kingdom of heavenliness and that blissfulness, is you have to die. And I'm not talking about the physical death. That means there's a dying of the old self, that old self. That means you're really letting go of what you think you might know, the things that you've been taught, anything that you've had to face that you're not facing, anything that triggers you. There has to be a dying of the old self, as that's a part of resurrecting yourself, meaning that you're dying of that old part of you. And this is what's happening on the planet. So, the regular relationships that one has out there is not what's going to be existing eventually. This is about a new paradigm of partnerships and partnerships in love, in true sacred love. And a part of that is dying of the old self. So if you think that you're doing perfectly fine, that's all you're going to feel is just perfectly fine. This is about being magnificent. This is about raising the bar. This is about really not only just being elevated, but staying elevated. So each time we are ascending and descending, which I've talked about that in the beginning, we're ascending and descending. We're going up, we're coming down. When we come down, we're coming down and connecting to the lower aspects of our consciousness in the third dimension, which we're already in the third dimension. We're already up in higher dimensions, and we're all in different dimensions. And so a part of that is how we're coming back to that natural state of who we are, which is, sexual sacred beings, that's the truth. And so the dying of the old self is what's necessary in order to get to that place. And then it's a matter of recognizing it and saying, oh, I'm remembering something more about myself. I'm connecting, because you see, the connection is what is also a key thing into remembering yourself and what you're connecting to, and your divinity, and also to your beloveds, your divine complements, your twin flames, the name that you want to call it. And so you, Linda, already was in that state of being in your joy and thing, because you're not holding on to old stuff. You're going with the flow. So you're going with the flow here. And as you're staying in that space of going with the flow, letting go, because you don't just let go and they say, oh, gosh, it's over now. No, it's a continuous cycle. Is for you to pay attention and to pay attention to the signs. Remember, follow the yellow brick road that I spoke about last week. It's the same thing. Each time that you let go of something layer by layer, piece by piece, step by step, that's every aspect that you're going to keep on ascending. And you keep ascending, because it's layers of ascension. You're awakened to more stuff about yourself. And the more you do that, is the more stronger the energy becomes with your state of blissfulness as you continue with that type of connection. So now you're in love with yourself. You're in love with life. You just feel it. It's not something that you're just going to say, oh, I see it over there. No, you're feeling it. It's an ecstasy. It's a whole body feeling. And then now when you have someone else who's also working on themselves that you're connected to, and you put that together, that becomes almost combustible. Okay? It's like a fire. It's like something, and then that's what starts to allow things to come into creation. That's what creates the magic. And it's not necessarily that you're in person with each other sometimes. It's an energy, and it's a force. It's a very, and it expands, it widens, and it heightens, It's like, I think about it like a train track, and it's going at the speed of light, something like that.
Well, I want to go back a step a bit about when you were talking about that, when you had said, well, depending upon where some people are in a state of, of dealing with the issues and things in their life, right? So it's easier said than done to stay in that state. That in itself, and I think that's what's really key as well, because I think that's really true, but if we can become aware that if we're knowing that we're in that state, that becomes the awareness and be able to shift out of that and remember something, turn on the music, dance, go for a walk, go out in nature, look at a baby or something to shift us out of that, to bring that state up. And something else that I really want to point out to the listeners as well, so that's one thing, is to really, we're going to have things in life that are going to happen to us. That's just the way it's going to be, just because so we can grow and so we can go along in our evolution to remember who we are. So it's,
Yes.
what would be the fun of it is it's called the journey. That's why it's called the journey, is because we're journeying. It's not about the destination to get there. It's what we go through to get there. So what else I want to bring into play is, if you think about, since the time that we were born, and all of the society and our parents and people and the churches and the religions and all of that, putting all these little layers on top of us, of all these beliefs and things like that, all of that has to be peeled away. And that's really what you're saying, is like these layers are coming off.
Yes.
And they're being peeled away because of this stuff that has been, put upon us, right? So if we can look at it that way and see it for that, then I think it might be a little bit easier to be able to shift around,
yes,
and see it much differently,
Yeah, I kind of put it in a way like, I know for most people they really don't like the winter time unless, they like feeling cold. But say you have all these layers of clothes, and then when the summertime comes, you love the idea that you can take them off and you feel, lighter. And it's like, I call it, at some point you're becoming naked to your soul. This is about becoming naked to your soul. When you feel naked, you feel free. And that's also what happens. You start to feel free. You start to feel free inside. That's what happens. And so I word it this way, that from the moment of our creation, more than our birth, or the moment of our creation is from the beginning aspect of ourselves, we caused ourselves to forget who we are so we can remember who we are. So everything that you might want to point fingers at, like, oh, this is happening to me, or this is this, or this person is this, that is something for you to look at. Those are your signposts. Why does it affect you? How does it affect you? Where did it start from? Did it start from childhood? Did it start from a parent? Did it start from a friend? And that's one of the ways that you can say to, and the Spirit is always going to keep guiding you anyway when you're ready. They say the saying goes, when the student is ready, the master appears, the teacher appears, once you are truly ready. And and as you pay attention to what is you're working on, then things will start to shift in your direction to everything for you to start working on, step by step.
Well, and I think something you mentioned too, because the show is about, it's a golden truth, raw and real. So it's really about the truth. It's about speaking your truth, saying what is for you. You know what I mean? And something that instead of trying to people please, because I know for myself, I was there, being, wanting to please people and wanting to make people happy, and I sacrificed myself because I wanted to make sure that everybody else was happy, was doing injustice to my own self. And so I had to realize, and that's where the self-love comes in as well. So I think, what if we, to go into giving tips on how one can stay at that frequency, that elevation of love, how they can do that. I think that we should go there. What are your thoughts?
Well, like I said before, when you really allow yourself to face things head on and facing the truth, that means you're really ready to face the truth and you're not running away. Because, there's a thing also by Neale Donald Walsh, is whatever you resist persists. So if you allow yourself to face the truth and face yourself and face others, of course, too, because, there's some people that just don't choose to want to face their own realities that they are creating. And, if you run away from it, guess what? It's going to repeat itself over and over and over again. And that includes even sometimes the element of people that come into our lives. If it's the same repeat pattern, if you label what you're facing, you're going to keep facing it until you see it as something else different and, deal with it, and then you can move on. And so while you're going through all of what you labeled, called mess, or this is bullshit, or I can't take this, or whatever you want to say, the tips that I give is listening and playing music. That shifts your energy levels up very high. Dancing helps a lot. Comedy, that's one of the greatest healing mechanisms. And also, of course, meditation, taking warm baths. All of these are aspects of how you can keep yourself elevated. Communication and connecting with others. When you connect with others, it makes a vast difference, especially when it's face-to-face. Isn't that correct, Linda?
Yeah.
When you're in the presence of seeing someone face-to-face, the vibration is a lot higher than just talking on the phone and texting and messaging and emailing. And it's the truth. I talk about it, I talk about it, I talk about it. And it also helps you to stay grounded, because as you connect to each person, you never know what, even a child can end up telling you something that can help you through what you're working, because, sometimes these children, they have divine wisdom too as well that helps. And so if you put all of that in combination, not just one way. We do not come from a space of just operating in one way. We are beings that are, every time Spirit shows me how multidimensional we are. And I had a reference to the TV with my children, where the TV was just, I paused it, and I asked them, I said, how did that make you feel? And they're like, I felt retarded. I felt dumb. I felt like I was stuck. I felt like I wasn't moving. And that is what is to happen. If you don't keep yourself in an aspect of moving in consciousness, moving with your body, moving, and change. Most human beings are so resistant to change. How can you feel yourself to feel the element of being in love if you don't allow yourself to change? You cannot expect the newness to come into your life if you still stay stuck and you don't change. Oh, your hairstyles. Please, Linda, talk about what happened with your hairstyle. When I talk to a lot of women, to raise the hairstyles, what that does for you when it comes to love. Can you please remember what happened?
That was amazing, yes, because on Saturday, even when I was going to try on the outfit, that I was going to end up wearing that night, and she was saying as well, you should put your hair up, because when your hair up, you're just so happy, right? Well,
you feel elevated.
And you do the same thing, to wear your hair up to be elevated. And I will tell you, one of my friends that was there, I had mentioned to her about having my hair up, because she noticed it. She's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice you because your hair was up. And she said it took like 20 years off. And it was just amazing. But even with it up, it was like, it's so true when you make those little changes, how it makes you feel. And I would never have thought about it. And I put my hair up before, but that night, I just, being in a happy place, listening to the music, and just trying on the clothes, because that's what I love and stuff like that. And all of that in combination with my hair up, I was in a high frequency, such a high frequency that I stayed there the whole time. And so it's so true. You never believe it with your hair up, but I'll tell you, when you are in consciousness of knowing, oh my gosh, my hair is up, right?
Yes.
And it's like, and then you realize it's elevated to reach the heavens, to tap in and tune in to the consciousness, right?
Yes.
And all of that, it was just amazing. So, it was definitely true. Like, you keep telling me, do something different with your hair, and I was resisting.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot, that, all of that in combination, raising your hair high. I know some of you are saying, but I don't have that much hair. Believe me, there are so much different ways and mechanisms out there right now in these days and times that you can do to add hair in and everything to have your hair elevated. Anything that you can do to elevate yourself is also a practice of self-love. You feel good about yourself. That's the main thing, is what you do to allow yourself to feel good while you're being in love and feeling in love. And everything, put together makes a difference. If you are in the same hairstyle, the same way of how you dress or whatever for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, you're just going to keep feeling that way. It makes a difference when you make a shift, with everything put together. So we talk about the self-love, which also, an aspect of doing all of that gives you self-confidence. Isn't that correct? Gives you self-confidence. And that's right. And so when you start to feel all of these elements of everything coming together, you just start to feel like as if you're just falling in love with everything in life again. Everything is vibrating with you, the trees, the grass, everything, everyone. And it's just like, what's wrong with you? Oh, I just feel so marvelous. I feel so high in love. And so when you have that in combination with being in love with someone else, that's even more fantastic. Isn't that so, Lynn? You feel like a child. You feel like you're 16. I said, you feel like you're 16 again, don't you? It's like, yes. And guess what? You'll start to look like you're 16. When you're in love, it reflects and it shows. It shows.
Yes. It shows. It was so true. So true. I mean, I just felt like I was 16, and I'm still on that vibrational, that high, feeling that. And really there's times Saturday that, probably more so today, that I have dipped down and realizing I've dipped, right? So I was consciously aware that I dipped, and this is what we talk about conscious living. I realized I dipped, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do to bring myself up? Because I want to stay in that high vibration. So I turned on the music, did something different.
Well, what kind of music? Now we got to get to what kind of music will bring you back into that space of love. Let me tell you something. I love music so much. It is unbelievable. I have over 11,000-something songs on my iPod now since doing my book. It's like my iPod space is running out. But anyway, the key songs that I can say that brings you back into that high feeling of love again is those 60s love music. I'm telling you, it is just so exhilarating. I mean, the music that they have nowadays, there is not that many love songs in the 2000-year span, I would say, to really make you feel like you're in love again. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is how we're feeling this in the high heart, that connection. And it keeps you so elevated. And then when you're concentrating with the music playing, plus you imagine you have your hair up, you're in love, you're playing the music, you're dancing, and you're throwing some comedy, woo, that's a lot of stuff that you can bring together with staying and being in love. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think to kind of wrap it up, what I feel that, for the listeners is really what we're saying, well, I'll put my spin on it and Sharon will do her spin as well, but about love consciousness, the benefit of love consciousness, what I've experienced, and I've experienced it before, but truly had the most profound experience just recently is that when you are at that vibration, that it truly is magical. It is a feeling that you can't even describe. It's like ecstasy. It's ecstatic. It's that love, like when you see the baby smile and you just have that feeling and there's that connection and you're just so in love, and that's what it is. It's so in love. So that's really, in order for us to stay there, is to be conscious of that, to keep staying in that space. And when you find yourself getting out of that space, turn on the music, go for the walk, elevate your hair, make the change, drive a different route to your work, put your socks on the left side instead of the right, switch on the other side of the bed, or whatever it is that you do. So that's what I would say.
Yes, it does. And definitely being in love and falling in love, it just elevates and shifts into another level of consciousness. And when you are in love, and even when you're going through the things that you go through in life, but when you are in love, things really do start to work out. So I know we have to continue this because there's so much to talk about love, and it's one of the best. And you know what? Love is a medicine. It is. It's like a medicine, too, and it's a natural medicine. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well,
thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. It was just, we really, really appreciate you listening to the show and, really listening to what we're talking about and really taking that information and really applying that in your life and seeing the magic and miracles that happen when you actually vibrate at that level. Be consciously aware when you are in that and watch things happen around you that are just magic.
That's right.
Yeah. So thank you all the ones who will be joining us afterwards. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, and like us on our YouTube channel, The Golden Truth Raw and Real, our Facebook page, The Golden Truth Raw and Real, and you can also email us any questions or anything you would like us to talk about at The Golden Truth Raw and the letter N as in Nancy, Real, REAL, @gmail.com. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We really, really, really appreciate it, and we love you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week. Till next time.
Yes, we'll see you all next week. Much love. Bye.
Run to Old Navy right now to get 50% off summer's must-have styles for the entire family. That's 50% off all tees, 50% off all tanks, 50% off all shorts, and 50% off all swimwear. Run to Old Navy now through Friday to score amazing 50% off deals.
Grand Canyon University is Arizona's premier private Christian university, committed to providing next-generation education for students who want to make a difference in the 21st century workforce. GCU offers more than 190 academic programs in high-demand fields across 9 distinct colleges, including our prestigious GCU Honors College. Earn your degree online, in the evening, or on our vibrant Phoenix campus. Fast-track options and academic scholarships still available with no out-of-state tuition. Visit gcu.edu.